Hello, welcome to the Spring Virtual Showcase. I'm Deborah Herman, Director of olli at FSU in Tallahassee and olli at FSU PC30A, which is associated with the Panama City FSU campus. I'd like to introduce some staff members. Program Coordinator for the Tallahassee area, Terry Aronson.
Hey everybody, welcome.
Accounting Representative, Melissa Guest.
Hello everyone, good to see you.
And Learning Coordinator for PC30A, Jamie Williamson.
Hi everybody, nice to be here today.
Staff, along with the many dedicated volunteers and leadership teams, work together to present an exceptional educational, cultural, and social program for our members. At this time, I'd also like to introduce Advisory Council President Steve Howard for PC30A to say a few words. Steve?
Hey everybody, thanks Deborah. PC30A, as Deborah just said, is a branch of olli at FSU. We're affiliated directly with the Florida State University at Panama City. Our members live along scenic Highway 30A in Walton County, in places like Watercolor, Seagrove, Seaside, Santa Rosa Beach, etc. This is our second year to be a part of olli at FSU, and we're looking forward to our second semester. Just thanks for letting us be a part of everything.
Okay, thank you, Steve. And finally, let me introduce Advisory Council President Harriet Wass for Tallahassee area for her remarks, which directly afterwards, 42 instructors will then begin their course presentations. Harriet?
Hello, everybody. The olli at FSU leadership team includes Jack Mapstone, our first vice president.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Bruce Bouchard, our second vice president. Bruce. Our advisory council members, and our many dedicated volunteers. We will now hear from our instructors who will present information about their classes. We will follow with the classes as they are printed in the course catalog by day of the week. As you listen to the instructors present their courses, you may want to follow along with the class schedule at a glance located in your spring catalog on page 23. I will introduce the Tallahassee instructors, and Jamie Williamson will introduce the instructors from PC30A. We will begin with Jimmy Yu.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jimmy Yu. I'm an associate professor in the religion department. I'm starting off this presentation with perhaps a serious topic. The topic is the art of living and dying. This is a 6 weeks course. And in the course, we will explore fundamental human needs for answers to perennial questions like, where did I come from when I was born? Where will I go after I die? What is the meaning of my life, my death? Who am I? These questions reflect our perhaps greatest doubts, our sense of alienation from ourselves and others, also our fears. But embracing these questions will bring about profound meaning and peace in our lives. So we'll explore specifically Buddhist topics such as cosmology, death and dying, karma, rebirth, awakening, and methods to face death and dying with dignity and compassion. So I hope you'll be able to join this course. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Next, we have Laura Morris.
Hello there, this is Laura Morris. Hola. I'm teaching 2 classes and I love teaching with olli. One of them is more of a basic Spanish class, a little bit higher than basic, because it's called Spanish Reloaded, which means that students have taken Spanish olli classes or have some knowledge of Spanish. This is just one step up. We do a lot of concentration on conversation and getting how to talk out. We don't do a lot of memorization or rote things. The class is supposed to be fun and you're supposed to be comfortable in conversing. And the only way to do that, of course, is to practice. So it's the kind of thing that you enjoy doing, and being bilingual is just such a neat place to be. So I love what I do, and I love teaching Spanish, which is my native tongue because I was born in Cuba. So the people who have had my class before know that there's no mistakes as far as anyone making any judgment. You just get the word out and you speak, and it's just a great feeling. And how am I doing on time, Harriet? Can I go to my other class?
Yes, you're good. Keep going.
Okay. So my other class is a little bit different. It's called Moving On Up. And the reason it's called that is called Spanish 2.5. So this is for students, is pretty much like a Spanish 2 class. It's a little bit more advanced. People who have had the Spanish before and have a working knowledge of it. Students who have taken my basic classes. This is great for them. It's also good for people who maybe took it in college or in high school, and they can't remember too much about it, but they have some working knowledge and they want to practice and they want to speak. So we're getting involved in, of course, with reading and writing, and a bit more than just the present tense. We'll be doing some of the past tense, but again, it's not going to be conjugating and doing a lot of through a plan where everyone gets a chance to speak and is encouraged to speak. And again, it's a fun thing that we do together. And when you go into another language, it's sort of in another country, I do like to talk about the culture of the different countries and working on our accent, of course. So we want to actually, if you say three things in a good accent, they'll say, "Oh, you speak great Spanish." If you say a whole paragraph with not too good an accent, oh, they say you don't speak Spanish. But so we'll just enjoy the culture and the speaking and the writing and the reading. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of my former students continue their conversation and continue getting their skill level up. And it's to do. And remember, there is no fear in Spanish. So we'll look forward to seeing you. Hasta luego.
Thank you, Laura. And next we have Andy Isaacs.
I'm so excited to be back at Ollie after my year hiatus. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Andy Isaacs, and I spent the better part of 30 years working on movies. Big Hollywood monsters like Pirates of the Caribbean movies and the Twilight movies. In the past, for Ollie, I've taught classes about the industry or directors I've worked with, but I'm so excited about this spring's class. Before I ever ran production for a studio or even served a cup of coffee on set, I loved movies, all movies, especially the classics. And I'm going to talk about 1939, what's considered the greatest year of movies in Hollywood, and not just because of Gone with the Wind. We'll talk about the studio systems back then and the looming antitrust suits, the movie stars and the publicity machine behind them. And we'll watch 3 movies from that year, if time allows, and if I don't talk your heads off. Dark Victory, the movie that changed sentimental dramas forever. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Frank Capra, every filmmaker's favorite filmmaker. And Stagecoach, where John Ford and John Wayne made history together. I know Zoom meetings are a little more challenging, but I love interacting with you and hearing your questions, and I think we'll have a lot of fun. The class is called 1939, Hollywood's Greatest Year, and it's on Mondays from 1:30 to 3:30. I hope to see you there.
Thank you. Alan Romano.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alan Romano, and my class is Cultures of Ancient Egypt. We'll be meeting Mondays at 1:30 to 3:30. So this class is 3,000 years of ancient history, because the Greeks weren't old enough. We need to go back further. So imagine yourself around 1440. No, not that nearer one, the one before that, 1440 BCE. And a young boy is out on the sand, and he comes across a monumental head buried in the sand, kind of up to its neck. And he's tired, so he goes to sleep underneath it. And while he's sleeping, he has a dream. And this creature, whose head this is, comes to him and speaks to him and says, I'm suffocating. I can't breathe. Dig me out. The young man does do that because the creature promises, if you dig me out, you will be Pharaoh. So 1440 BCE, this is Tutmosis IV. He unburies what you probably know as the Sphinx, the Great Sphinx of Giza. And I mention that story because even for the ancient Egyptians, 1440, their earliest history was ancient to them. another 1500 years before them. And this is what we'll explore in this class, is this oldest of civilizations and its enduring appeal, not just in its own time, where for the Greeks, for the Romans, for the Egyptians, ancient Egypt was already old, right? But also for modern times, where we have more recent forays into Egyptomania and excitement about all things Egyptian. There are obelisks, of course, on campus as well. So part of your task is to go find them or remember where they are and why they're there. So we'll cover everything. We'll look at myth, we'll look at religion, we'll look at history, and I look forward to seeing you all there. Thanks.
Thank you. Jeffrey Thomas.
Hello, everybody. I'm teaching Emergence of Man on Monday from 1:30 to 3:30. So we're basically going to cover the fossil hominin record as far as we know it. It keeps changing every year, as you may notice from some news media. So we're going to cover as much as we have right now, all the way back from Sahelanthropus chadensis, the earliest hominid, talking about defining what a hominid is. Some key evolutionary changes that our human lineage has gone through, like the origins of bipedalism, the origins of language, emergence of modern brain and modern thinking, hunting techniques, kind of behavioral reconstructions, as well as phylogenetic relationships of all these different species. And I'll try to be as virtual as I can, because I do have a couple of friends with me. So this is, of course, Lucy, Australopithecus afarensis. I have a whole box of skulls behind me that I'll bring out, as you know, I have lots of skeletons, actually. I mean, literal ones, though, not, well, anyway. We'll cover lots of things like Neanderthals, including technology with DNA. So doing things like 23andMe to see if you're part Neanderthal and what that means. Our relationship with our closest cousins, and kind of what does it mean to be a modern human. So hope to see you all there.
Thank you, Jeffrey. And next we have Austin Wilkes. Austin?
Pardon? Oh,
Wilkes?
I guess I get to practice. You got it? You can hear me?
Yes.
Ciao, my name is Austin Wilkes. I'm really excited to be returning to Ollie to teach Italian for Travelers, Level 1. As I like to call it, Italian for Everybody, Mondays from 1:30 to 3:30. So in this course, we're going to take an imagined journey through 6 Italian cities and build our language skills while we explore various aspects of culture, history, including art history, music, and of course, everyone's favorite, food and wine. Now, this isn't a traditional language 101 course, but we also don't just sit around memorizing sentences from a phrase book for travelers either. Instead, we work together to create our own functional system of communication, tailored to you and what you want to do with it, that you can start using immediately to talk to people. It's going to be faster and a lot more rewarding than going to Italy and translating every word, word by word on your phone. And you can take this anywhere. If you want to go to Italy, which is of course the dream, it's going to work for you there. But it's also great for armchair travelers. If you have an interest in any aspect of Italian culture, this is going to enrich that for you, or even just a trip to an Italian restaurant. So hopefully a few people will also fall in love with the Italian language, culture, and people the way I did. And it also gives you a foundation to pursue that for mastery if that's something that interests you. So hopefully this will give you a great start wherever you want to take Italian, and that can be a lot of different places. So I'm really excited, and I hope to see a lot of you there. Ciao.
Next instructor is Carolyn Cacciardi.
Hey, hi. I made a discovery on the most famous painting in the world, the Mona Lisa by Renaissance artist Leonardo da Vinci. The embroidery on the painting has been overlooked for the last 500 years. Once I made the discovery of the Mona Lisa knot, I wondered why Leonardo had made it up and what it meant. And in the process of researching, I discovered 2 other Renaissance giants, Friar Luca Pacioli, the most famous mathematician of his time, and the woman history is given the title Renaissance woman. Her name is Isabella d'Este. Now the men, Luca and Leonardo, are both employed at the Forza court. The war has just broken out and the men have to flee. The dates are December 1499 to March 1500, and they take refuge at the Castello di San Giorgio with Isabella d'Este. Now, the only reason we know about this sojourn was that Leonardo had sketched a portrait of Isabella during their stay at the castle and a series of letters that followed, each time Isabella asking Leonardo when she was going to receive her colored portrait, something Leonardo never refuses. Now, what happens between the artist Leonardo da Vinci, the mathematician Luca Pacioli, and the Renaissance woman Isabella d'Este will intertwine their lives forever. And I really hope you join me. The class is called Leonardo da Vinci, The Shaping of an Artistic Genius. I'll take you back 500 years and it'll leave you inspired. Our class starts February 15th, and I really look forward to meeting you then.
Michael Kennett.
Hello and welcome. It was in the historic town of Apalachicola I began caring for the Orman House Historic State Park Museum. The Orman House family archive is extensive, and over the 13 years, it has been my privilege to share Apalachicola's rich heritage with thousands of visitors from around the world. In this virtual book club, I'll share the series of events that inspired this unlikely author into writing my first novel, Apalachicola Pearl. We'll examine the Civil War in Apalachicola through the eyes of the Orman family and see how the Orman family and other prominent citizens of the time became entwined into the storyline. I'll separate fact from fiction and introduce the characters I created to bring Apalachicola histories to life. Apalachicola Pearl was born from my passion for the town's history and its unforgettable people. My sincere wish is for people to enjoy reading my Apalachicola Pearl series as much as I enjoyed writing them. The course is an author-led book club of my novel, Apalachicola Pearl, Mondays, April 5th and 26th from 5 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I look forward to our virtual visit and the day when we can once again meet in person. Thank you.
Spencer McClendon.
Hello, my name is Spencer McClendon. I'm the history teacher at the Johanna Institute. I will be teaching the flavors of France on Monday, April 19th, 5:30 to 8:30 Central Time. This will be at the Johanna Institute in Rosemary Beach, Florida. The topics we're really going to talk about is the French colonial interaction with the Gulf Coast. We're going to discuss specific areas like Pensacola, as well as Mobile, the site of the first Mardi Gras. We're going to talk about the French and Indian War, as well as the Treaty of Paris, which had some long-term lasting cultural and geography implications. This is my second time teaching for Olli PC, and I had a really good time last time, and hopefully you'll sign up for my course this time. You can expect a really enjoyable evening with authentic French cuisine as well as French wine pairing. So I look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you. Next, we have Richard Bell.
Hello, everyone. This will be my first time joining you. I'm a professor of history, and beginning in March, and my phone is ringing during this presentation, so there's a lesson for everyone else. Beginning in March, I'm going to be giving a three-part series called The Transatlantic Slave Trade, a very important historical phenomenon, one of the largest forced migrations in world history that shaped so many countries on both sides of the Atlantic for centuries. And ultimately saw the forced removal of about 12 million or more African men, women, and children from their homelands to be sent into the New World. This three-part course is going to begin by examining the rise of the transatlantic slave trade from the perspective of British enslavers and traders and the members of the Royal African Company. And then it's going to flip things around in the second and third parts, turning the history upside down and focusing in upon varieties of resistance to the transatlantic slave trade, mounted by Africans in Africa and enslaved people on those ocean-going slave ships that served as floating prisons. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you. Next, we have Joseph Owens.
Hello, I'm Joseph Owens, Emeritus Professor of Physics, Florida State University. I'll be talking about Einstein's theory of relativity, Tuesdays, 9:30 to 11:30, starting February 16th. Many of you will no doubt recognize Einstein as one of the greatest physicists in the 20th century. His unique method of reasoning yielded many insights into different areas of physics, and indeed, he founded different areas of study such as quantum mechanics and indeed relativity. Many may recognize one of his most famous equations as being E equals mc squared. And you may have some idea about mass and perhaps also about energy, but you may wonder why they're related in this particular way. So relativity involves studying the description of moving objects. They move relative to each other. And if that relative motion is constant, then we deal with what's called the special theory of relativity. And if the relative motion is accelerated, that deals with the general theory of relativity. The two theories involve the new ways of looking at space and time. Indeed, we are usually taught that they're different aspects, quite different from each other. We move in space, we also move in time. Relativity tells us that we should, in fact, combine these two into what's called a space-time continuum. So I'll discuss these and related topics, but using a very minimum amount of mathematics. In fact, what I'll use are called thought experiments, or in German, Gedanken experiments. So these were devised by Einstein as simple ways of gaining insight into the topics that he was discussing with relativity. And what I'll look at are indeed very diverse topics, such as what happens to clocks when they are moving at high rates of speed relative to each other. And we'll talk about the effect of gravitational fields on clocks as well, and also perhaps black holes, the effects of strong gravitational fields. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Horst Wall.
Okay. So my name is Horst Wahl, and since Jeff took so long time, which usually is my thing to commit, I will be short and concise. So since I gave my last Olli class, things have happened to me. I retired. And so one of the consequences is that I have no inspiration for jokes anymore because I don't meet my colleagues every day. But so I will talk about several topics which really have not a lot to do with each other, and it's not even clear how many of them I will be able to cover in the short time that we are given. So my classes are Tuesday, 9:30, starting in March. And one of the topics I will talk about is exponential growth, because this is a term which has been abused very much especially during this time of COVID, and many people use the word without understanding it and really using it in a way which is completely incorrect. So we will talk about the origin of this term and what it really means. And so that's one of the topics. And after that, I will switch to physics, and I will talk about gravitational waves. And of course, I will assume that you are super experts in general relativity, which Jeff Owens will have taught you, and you will be able to solve Einstein's equations to get the wave equations. And I will talk about observation of gravitational waves and what have we learned from them and what do we hope to learn in the future from studying them. And in the improbable situation that I still have time left after that, I will talk about dark energy and dark matter, but I don't think that will happen.
And next we have Dina.
Good afternoon. With this past year of everyone staying at home, I thought it seemed appropriate to teach technology courses on file and photo management. Are you overwhelmed trying to maintain files and photos? Constantly having trouble locating something? Don't know if it's lost or misplaced? Frustrated why you can't open an email attachment? Do not understand file extensions? Can't find the photos you took on vacation or a particular one of the new grandchild? No worries. It happens to most of us, including me. Join me for an in-depth understanding of electronic file management. You will learn detailed information about file structure, naming conventions, extensions, file type conversions, and file compression, i.e. zipping. You will also discover products to help manage your files easier, as well as backing up your files for perpetuity. These courses will be offered for both Mac and Windows users. You will find my classes listed on pages 6 through 8 of the olli Spring course catalog. Understanding proper file management protocols on your computer for Mac users, 6 weeks will be held via Zoom from 9:30 to 11:30 on Tuesdays. How to back up and organize photos from your Android phone, Windows users. This 3-week course will be held via Zoom from 12 to 2 p.m. on Tuesdays. How to back up and organize from your iPhone for Mac users. This 3-week course will be held via Zoom from 12 to 2 on Tuesdays. And by the way, if you're an iPhone user and have a Windows computer, let's talk. I can include you in the class as well. Understanding proper file management protocols on your computer for Windows users. This 6-week course will be held via Zoom from 2:30 to 4:30 on Tuesdays. Let me know if you have any questions. Hope you'll join me.
Thank you, Dina. And next we have Paul Cohen.
I want to thank Deborah and all of the olli team for bringing me back to talk about motion pictures, independent motion pictures, and beaming me up tonight. I am, for 40 years, a New York-based motion picture distributor and producer. I had the awful job of traveling around the world, looking at films in Cannes, in Venice, in Berlin, in China, in Tunisia, and acquiring the rights to those movies to bring back to the United States and put into movie theaters around the country. And about 15 years ago, I relocated here full-time. I live on a little horse ranch because my wife, Gail, adopts wild horses, and it's my job now to give them the best life they can possibly have on this planet. I spoke at the first class of the College of Motion Picture Arts, our FSU Film School. I'm currently a teaching instructor there in the discussion of marketing and distribution of students' work. And professionally, I continue to market movies. While I'm still in the shadow of the university, I maintain a professional career and have produced 3 movies recently here over the last few years. One is on Netflix right now. It's Kiss the Ground, about the rejuvenation of the Earth's soil, narrated by Woody Harrelson. It's a big documentary. If you have Netflix, it's a free documentary. I also have worked on the first narrative film filmed here in Tallahassee, Life and Nothing More, by one of our film school colleagues, Antonio Mendez Esparza, and helped to get that film into distribution, into its festival life, and to be successfully now on Amazon, which bought its exclusive rights. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch that movie. And so what I would like to talk to our olli group of film lovers about this semester is the idea of how to create cinematic works. How does it actually occur to be an independent filmmaker, so that if you ever had a dream or a desire or a whim that you had a screenplay of a story you had to tell and had to do it visually, I'm going to go through the steps on Tuesdays in the month of February at, I think it's at 12 p.m. to 2, and discuss the steps to take to produce and release your motion picture, your independent motion picture. So I'm going to do that in 3 stages. The pre-production stage of getting information for to you for acquiring a property if you didn't create it yourself. The second portion of the class will be the pre-production and production of cinema, of how you go about organizing the production of the film. And the third stage will be the distribution and marketing of the film, which will also include film festivals. We're in a revolution in the way you all see your motion pictures. That revolution, I believe, is going to turn into an evolution of it continuing, and we'll talk more about it. And thank you for indulging me for this moment. All the best, good health.
Next, we have Ron Hahn.
Hi, I'm Ron Hahn. I teach animation and visual effects in the College of Motion Picture Arts here at FSU, and I have almost 30 years experience in the visual effects industry. You know, when you watch a modern motion picture and you get to the end credits of a feature film, you may see hundreds of names of the visual effects artists who put their sweat and toil into this labor of love. But what are their jobs? What do all these technical titles mean? And what science and technology do they use to bring that magic to the screen? Who are these people? Well, I don't know them all personally, but I do know that they are descendants of magicians, literally, as it turns out. And the very first visual effect shot took place in 1824 when John Ayrton Paris used this toy called a thaumatrope to demonstrate to the Royal College of Physicians in London that our brains could superimpose two moving images simultaneously into one image. And they called that phenomenon persistence of vision, and the world has never been the same since. So if you're interested in a wild and fascinating ride through Hollywood history, please join me in my course, History of Movie Visual Effects, which will be on Tuesdays at noon, starting on March 9th and running through the 23rd. In 3 classes, we will explore the crazy, artistic, technical trajectory of visual effects, both where it all began and where it's all headed. I hope this will change forever how you watch movies, and I hope you'll join me in this adventure.
Thank you, Ron. Owen Devlin, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Owen Devlin, and I teach British history at the University of Cambridge. At Ollie, I'll be teaching a course called Elizabeth I, Politics, Power, Religion, which runs from Tuesday, February 16th, from 12 noon to 2 p.m. over 6 weeks. Elizabeth I ruled England as its queen for 45 years, an extremely long reign in the last decades of the 16th century. This was a period of extraordinary change and upheaval, in which Elizabeth faced the challenges of dealing with the legacies of the Protestant Reformation and religious change and conflict, the crises posed by war with Catholic Spain, the threat of Mary Queen of Scots, the birth of the British Empire, and the challenges of being a woman in a man's world. This course will introduce students to the life of Elizabeth and the politics, culture, and society of the England she ruled. We will explore key themes by using a wide range of contemporary source material, including personal correspondence, speeches, and printed texts, as well as images like paintings or woodcuts, and material artifacts from a period remembered today as a golden age in English history. So I hope to see you there. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Owen. Next, we have Heather Whitaker.
Hi, my name is Heather Whitaker, and I am an editor and writing coach, and I'm excited to be teaching for Ollie once again. This time I'm going to be teaching Fun with Writing. It's a 6-week class running February 16th through March 23rd. It's on Tuesdays from 12 to 2 p.m. This class is going to be a mix of things like short lessons on writings and some group activities that we can do. I've learned a whole lot about Zoom in the last year, so I know how to do some breakout sessions and stuff. and then also giving people some writing time. It's a small class, just 15 people, so it also means that we're going to have plenty of time to interact with each other. I was actually teaching this class last spring when the pandemic hit, and we switched to online, and I figure a lot has happened in the last year, and you guys probably all have lots to write about. So this should give you a good chance either to write about and share some of the feelings and experiences you've had over the last year, or maybe you want to use this as a chance to escape our world to other times and other worlds. So there'll be new topics and activities, some that we did last time, but there'll also be some new ones. So this could be a good repeat class. And I think most important is that even though we're all stuck at home, this is going to give us a chance to reach out and spend time and have a whole lot of fun with other writers. So again, that's Fun with Writing, Tuesdays from 12 to 2 p.m.
Thank you, Heather. Next, we have Marnie Richards.
Hi, I'm Marnie Richards, and I'm teaching Yoga for Life, chair yoga. We meet from 2:30 to 3:30 on Tuesdays. And this will be yoga in the Hatha yoga tradition, which is the yoga of movement and breathing. And it's also said to be the yoga of well-being. And so in each class, I'll lead a breath practice, and I'll lead a variety of movement and stretching and yoga postures or asana. And they'll be done sitting down or standing using a chair for balance and support as needed. So I would invite you all to sit up tall in your chairs or come to standing, whichever feels most comfortable, and join me in a breath that's called crane breath. You start by reaching the arms out front, hands are together. Turn the palms up, reach the arms back just as far as comfortable as you take a breath in. Then turn the palms down or back, bring the backs of the hands together as you exhale. Swoop down, and then come back up and take another breath in. And once more, exhaling, come down, and then we'll finish up there. So I hope you can join me for this yoga practice, and look forward to seeing you.
Thank you. Next, we have Shayo Chakraborty.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shayok Chakraborty, and I'm an assistant professor in computer science at Florida State University. I mainly work in the areas of machine learning and computer vision. The title of my course is Artificial Intelligence, Algorithms and Applications. This has been structured as a 6-hour course and will be taught on Tuesdays, that's February 16th, 23rd, and March 2nd, from 2:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. AI, as we all know, is a buzzword today. The goal of this course is to provide an overview of the fundamentals of AI and educate the audience on the recent advances in this field. I have structured this course into 3 parts. The first part will cover a high-level introduction to common AI algorithms like classification, clustering, anomaly detection, and so on and so forth. The second part will touch upon more advanced topics like active learning, deep learning, domain adaptation, and introduce some of the challenges that we face as AI researchers in developing and designing algorithms. And finally, in the third part, I'll talk about sample applications of AI and how AI is being used in our day-to-day life. We'll conclude the course with some directions of future work and future research. Thank you very much, and I look forward to welcoming you all in my course.
Thank you. And next we have Mark Schlackman.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Mark Schlackman. I'm affiliated with the Center for the Advancement of Human Rights at Florida State University, and it's a privilege to once again teach the course that the Foreign Policy Association makes possible, Great Decisions Spring Discussion Forum. Each year, the Foreign Policy Association, which has been established for more than 100 years, prepares materials intended to provide a diversity of viewpoints and perspectives relating to challenging foreign policy issues, not necessarily from a US exclusive perspective, but certainly involving the US. And as a backdrop to that, I had the privilege of serving toward the end of President Clinton's second term in the White House, and then at the outset of the George W. Bush administration in the State Department, and then subsequent to that, the Defense Department. So what we will attempt to do is to travel upon the Foreign Policy Association materials and resources, which include videos of several subject matter areas that I'll just mention in a moment, and then attempt to unpack the narratives, challenge the givens, including those that we may feel quite comfortable with and or embrace ourselves. So the issue is not necessarily attempting to, through discussion, arrive at the same perspective, but work within the same frameworks, maybe add to this contemporary issues. Again, these are subjects that the Foreign Policy Association developed each year. Usually they're available December, January. So they're not real time, but they're as close to that as reasonably possible. So I'll close at this point just by mentioning the several subject matter areas that we'll explore. And again, all viewpoints, however you characterize, left, right, center, off of the political spectrum, we're going to challenge the implications and opportunities relating to global supply chains in the US national security, future of Persian Gulf security, Brexit, taking stock and looking ahead. The fourth is the coldest war toward a return to great power competition in the Arctic. The fifth being China and Africa, the two Koreas, the World Health Organization's response to COVID-19, and the end of globalization with a question mark. So those are 8 areas. We'll decide during the class which 6 to cover. And again, this course meets on Tuesdays from 2:30 to 4:30. So hope to see you there.
Thank you, Mark. Jamie?
Yes, I'd like to introduce one of 30A's local celebrities, Chris Alvarado.
All right, folks. My name is Chris. As Jamie just said, I'm a local musician and a acoustic guitar builder, which is called a luthier for some of you folks who don't know what that word is. And this is my first time being asked to teach a class with Ollie, and I'm super excited about it. It's going to be called The Guitar: Understanding Its History, Cultural Influence, and Construction. And it's hopefully going to be an exciting class for people who are not just guitar owners and players. Don't think that you have to be one of those to find an interest in this course. We all listen to music on a daily basis, and I think that the guitar is an instrument that we all take for granted in the sense that it's always been there most of our lives, including people who play it every single day. And I want to take a dive into what makes it tick. It's going to be a 2-part course, and the first course is going to be about its history and cultural influence. And with that, I mean, we're going to talk about how it started off as a Renaissance instrument from the lute or even the oud in the Middle East, all the way up to the guitar hero like Eddie Van Halen and, Stevie Ray Vaughan, John Mayer, all of that stuff. And kind of how it has helped shape our culture, not just in music, but you'd be really surprised in how it has actually shaped us in race relations and in politics and so many other things that will just blow your mind because it's just an instrument. The second part is going to be in its construction, and that's going to be a really cool part for those of you to really kind of understand what makes your instrument tick, what makes the guitar tick. I'll be bringing in different woods and tooling and partially constructed guitars, and have an opportunity for those that are in the in-person course to be able to actually hold these pieces and listen to them. And for those that will be watching it via streaming, you can actually view it and hopefully hear good audio samples of how the guitar gets to the point of where it's at. This class is going to be on Tuesdays in March 23rd and March 30th from 6 to 7:30 Central Time. And I hope you guys will consider being in my class with me. I'm excited about doing it.
Okay, we'll move on to Arlene Pabon.
Hi guys, good afternoon. 1 month, 4 days ago, a presidential executive order was enacted mandating all new Washington, D.C. federal buildings have to be beautiful. In order to accomplish this objective, the order lists the architectural style from classical antiquity as the preferred one. This executive order is one example of the many examples I could offer of this country's fascination with the architecture created in ancient Greece. An admiration that started with the founding fathers, and it's still imprinted in our minds. Walk around Tallahassee, and from the Capitol to the Supreme Court building, to many humble interpretations in many of our subdivision houses, and the prototypical example, the many plantation homes that were created along throughout the South. In fact, the rumor has it there was once a group that called themselves owners of plantations that do not look Greek. There were that many of them. The course, Frogs Around the Mediterranean, Ancient Greek Architecture, deals with the architecture created during the Archaic, the Classical, and the Hellenistic periods. That is from the 8th to the 1st century before Christ. As way of introduction, Minoan and Mycenaean Bronze Age presidents are also studied. We're going to analyze their functional aspects, their religious, civic, and cultural ideas that shaped them. This course is perfect for anyone that has ever asked themselves the question, what is this Doric, Ionic, Corinthian stuff about? The course meets on Wednesdays from 9:30 to 11:30. Thank you.
Thank you, Arlene. And next we have Nell Strandberg.
Hello, I'm Nell Strandberg, and my class is the Library of Congress, America's Library. It is a Wednesday class starting at 9:30 to 11 a.m., starting on February 17th. I was a docent for 2 years at the Library of Congress, and I led weekly tours for public and private groups. Many people think the beautifully decorated Jefferson Building is the Library of Congress, but it's so much more. In the first session, you will learn about the purpose and history of the Library of Congress. Then we will look at several buildings that comprise the library. Some buildings are at Fort Meade in Maryland, and another is in Culpeper, Virginia, as well as 2 of the 3 buildings on Capitol Hill. The second session will be a virtual tour of the Jefferson Building. And the third session, we will go more in depth about a few of the exhibits and places in the library, such as the Blashfield Collar in the main reading room, Jefferson's Library, the Gutenberg Bible, the 1507 Wadzemuller map, which is considered America's birth certificate, and we will look at pictures of the contents of President Lincoln's pockets the night he was assassinated. There are over 170 million items in the library's collection, and I hope you will join me in discovering a small part of the treasure trove. Thank you.
Thank you, Nell. Next, we have Tony Kirkwood Tucker.
Hi, I'm Dr. Tony Kirkwood Tucker. I am the retired professor, associate professor of the social sciences in teacher education at FSU. I'm grateful to be able to again teach a course. This is a new one. It is entitled Experiences of a German Girl Growing Up During the Nazi Era and Mandatory Teaching of the Holocaust in German Schools. Well, that German girl at a very young age, that is I. Some of you will say that is me. Being born in the state of Bavaria, the largest state in Germany, to the south, bordering Austria. I will share my experiences as this young girl with you on an interactive basis, because I want you also to participate what you did at your age during the end of World War II, during the end of World War II and afterwards. How many of you remember the horrors of World War II? I do. How many of you had relatives or friends fighting in World War II? I had 3, 2 brothers on my mother's side and 1 uncle, excuse me, they were brothers, but they were my uncles, and one uncle on my father's side, at the age of 18, fell in France. How many of them were killed or became prisoners of war? You answer that question from your family. Ladies and gentlemen, did you know that Hitler had an entire panzer division of boy soldiers fighting in World War II, fighting in France and defending the beaches of Normandy when the Americans landed? They fought ferociously, perfectly trained, and committed acts of violence against them, the Americans, including killing prisoners of war. I would like to share with you what it means to grow up with a dissident father who put him and his family at risk, being dragged off to camp or killed. However, Germany and my village of Unterammergau were liberated by General George Patton's 3rd US Army 10th Armored Division, with black and white soldiers rolling down on tanks on our village street. I look forward, hoping to see you on February 17th, a Wednesday, from noon to 2 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Joe Calhoun.
Hi, I'm Joe Calhoun. I'm with the Department of Economics. I've been at Florida State since 2004. It's been a few years since I taught for Ollie, and I'm very excited to be back with the group. I am going to have a class that is going to meet 3 times, and we're going to break those sessions into 3 topics about the United States economy. We're going to start with what we call fiscal policy, which is what Congress and the president can or can't do to maneuver economic activity and try to grow or shrink the economy. So we'll look at some recent and proposed laws coming out of Congress. Then we're going to shift our attention to what the Federal Reserve does, and that is called monetary policy. The Federal Reserve is an independent set of banks that are charged with the monetary system in the United States, and we'll look at what they can and can't do to engage in economic activity and try to get our economy to do certain things. And then in the last section, we're going to turn our attention to international trade. And one of the most important things I can do in that section is to dispel some very common myths that are out there. We'll also look at international exchange rates. And for those of you who are eventually going to go to Italy and all the other great places that my colleagues are going to tell you about, you'll want to know a little bit about exchange rates before you go off and enjoy your vacation in another country. And we're going to do that in a couple of Wednesdays, and I look forward to seeing you then.
Thank you. Next, we have Jamie Williamson.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jamie Williamson. I spent most of my career as a university faculty member researching and teaching about communication and close personal relationships. And along the way, I learned for sure that the quality of our lives is directly related to the quality of our relationships. And that seems pretty obvious, doesn't it? That the problem is that there are many couples who are so busy building their careers and raising their children that they don't invest enough in their own relationship, not as much as they should. Couples often think that if they can make it through that nasty 7-year itch, if they can make it through the financial ups and downs, the kids' teenage years, well, then they'll be golden. They don't realize that they've grown apart until their nest is empty or they retire. And for some, it's just too late. One of the things that's surprising me right now is that 1 in every 4 divorces in the United States is what's called a gray divorce. It's a divorce involving people like us, people over 50, who are ending a long-term marriage. So I decided that I should create this Ollie class for couples who've been married a long time and who are generally happy, but they want to make sure that they learn how to become even happier as they grow older together. Everything we talk about will be grounded in relationship research, but it'll be upbeat and we'll do some fun exercises together. We'll review what distinguishes between happy and dissatisfied couples. We'll explore Gottman's 7 principles for making marriages work. You'll learn a lot about the small changes that you can make that will help you stay close and truly enjoy the time you have together instead of just pass the time. And we'll master the 4 essential habits that will keep your marriage golden, even when you're gray. And that's what I've called my class. I hope you'll join me in February, Wednesdays, 5:30 to 6:30. It's a 2-session course. I'd love to see you there. Thanks.
Thank you, Jamie. Suzanne Parker.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Parker. I'm an emeritus professor of political science from Purdue University. And I'm going to be talking about how and why Americans vote the way they do in presidential elections. I'll look at prominent explanations of elections from 4 different areas, from sociology, political science, economics, and history. And I will apply all of those explanations at the end to the 2020 presidential election. We'll be meeting on Wednesdays for 3 Wednesdays in March, March 10th, March 17th, March 24th, from 2:30 until 4:30. So if you're not burned out on elections, particularly the last presidential election, and you'd like to learn a little bit more about why Americans vote the way they do in those elections, come see us on Wednesday afternoons. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Next person to present the class from the 30A area is my friend, Bruce Judd.
Thank you, Jamie. I'm going to be talking about exploring Paris and discovering the architecture, art, and romance of the City of Light. I'm an architect who's actually spent most of my professional career doing restoration of historic buildings, including the chapel at UVA, the Alamo, and the Lincoln Memorial. But I love Paris and have spent many years traveling there. So Paris is the most visited city in the world and one of the most beautiful. We're going to take a virtual tour of the historic parts of Paris. The buildings, structures, bridges, parks, museums, and the unusual and little known gems that are hidden throughout the city. Beginning at the source of the Seine, we will look at what defines the river that defines Paris, how to tell the left from the right bank, the Paris summer beaches on the Seine that most people don't know about, and details about well-known monuments such as the Eiffel Tower, the Musée d'Orsay, and lesser ones, such as the circular Arago monuments that are spaced all across Paris, the hidden windmills of Paris, and the sculpture of the man who walked through walls. The city changed radically between 1848 and 1870 with major new thoroughfares that connected the new civic buildings, including the Opera House, Arc de Triomphe, the Eiffel Tower, and major new parks. We will see the effect of these changes and where the resulting boulevards and buildings that were created, including glass-covered walkways, small parks, and beautiful gardens, and how that has changed the city. All these will be described in detail with photographs and sketches to give you a more intimate understanding of the City of Light. The PowerPoint presentation used will be converted to a PDF that may be printed and used as a real-time travel guide when Paris reopens. I hope you'll join us. That's going to be on Mondays, April 5th and April 12th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. Thanks.
Thank you, Bruce. Next, we have Alessandra Mazzocchi.
Ciao, hello everybody. I am Alessandra Mazzocchi and I'm a native Italian speaker, and I will teach Italian for Traveling 2.0 on Thursdays from 11 a.m. to starting on February 18th for 6 weeks. The course aim is to teach the next basic grammar and conversation strategies in Italian with the focus on the traveling vocabulary. So how to request information, how to move around in a completely new city with transportation, how to order, how to plan a visit in Italy, etc., etc. We will virtually travel through Italy, stopping in 7 cities in 6 days, which are Torino, Genova, Urbino, Perugia and Assisi, that we'll be covering one day, Matera and Palermo. And each week, the material will cover language objectives, travel tips, and a cultural theme linked to the city of the day. For example, Torino and the first capital of Italy. From the north to the south, from grammar to culture, Italy as you would like to experience it. I will weigh you in class with Google Maps open, that's what we can do now, ready to travel with you, definitely in Italian. Ciao, ci vediamo in classe, we'll see you in class.
Thank you. And next we have DJ Kinney.
I will be teaching again after a long absence, The Moderns in Paris. This is a wonderful look at the first, really what we understand today is the first big modern wave of the unity between art and literature and culture and pop culture. And all of this happened after the First World War. It was something that really hadn't been seen, well, in Paris for centuries. Week 1 we have World War I. Week 2 we have painting. Week 3, the movable feast, Gertrude Stein. Week 4, the master editor, Ezra Pound. Throughout all of these, there are other weeks. Throughout all of these, we're going to look at literature, art, and culture. It's going to be an adventure. I am so grateful to be back. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have David Telesco.
Hello, everybody. My name is David Telesco. I'm the Bear Management Program Coordinator for the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. I and my colleague who is in charge of panthers will be giving a class on the Florida black bear and the Florida panther. I've given a class on Florida black bear with my colleagues for 2 olli semesters. And so this is the first time we'll be bringing in panthers as well. We're very excited about it. It's going to be Thursdays from 1 to 3:30 on February 18th, 25th, and March 4th. And we hope you guys can join us. We'll be talking about biology, research, and management. So we'll split each class and spend half the time on biology, half time on research, and then the last class will be half time on management for each species.
Thank you, David. Next, we have Sandy Beck.
I'm Sandy Beck, and my class is called Living with Wildlife. I've had the privilege of living a wild life for the last 33 years as the education director of the St. Francis Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. In this class, I will give you an intimate look at some of the beautiful wild creatures whose habitats we are so fortunate to share here in North Florida. The first week, you'll join me in my backyard to meet and learn about our native birds of prey, like this red-shouldered hawk. The second week will focus on other wildlife that you might find in a local park or in your own backyard. And the last week, you will join me for a rare behind-the-scenes tour of our 36-acre wildlife hospital and rehabilitation center deep in a Gadsden County forest, where we care for 3,000 injured, orphaned, sick, and displaced wild animals every year with the goal of returning each to its home. After meeting and learning about these animals, I know you will feel inspired and empowered with a deeper understanding and appreciation of your wild neighbors. My class is called Living with Wildlife. We will meet on 3 Thursday afternoons in March from 1:30 to 3:30 Eastern Time. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Next, we have Matthew Del Campo.
Hi, everyone. Wow, what a tough act to follow. I don't have a hawk to present to you all, but my name is Matthew Del Campo. I'm a faculty member at the University of Puget Sound in Tacoma, Washington. And this is my return to olli at FSU after about 6 years. I earned my PhD at Florida State and finished in 2016. And I'm excited to be back with you all for sort of a reprise of some classes that I offered then. My course is called Swing, Rock, and Pop Music from the 20s through the 70s. Fairly self-explanatory in the title and the description, but we're going to be listening to the popular music, mostly centered in North America in that 50 or so 60-year period. We'll talk about everything from the origins of jazz music through blues, country music, pop tunes of the mid-century through the birth of rock and roll, its expansion and the British invasion in the 1960s, and then into some rock and pop offshoots in the 1970s. So looking forward to being with you all Thursdays from 1:30 to 3:30 Eastern, starting February 18th. Hope to see many of you then.
Thank you, Matthew. Next, we have Michael Shatruk.
Hi, I'm Michael Shatruk. Well, after listening to all these awesome courses, I want to take them rather than teach mine. My course will be Chemistry and Art, and what we do in this course is explore various intertwinings of art and science. So what we're looking at is how chemistry underlies art forms, and you can see the image behind me that shows three concepts that are important to both science and art, and those are color, shape, and symmetry. And in fact, the shapes that are the hexagonal rounded shapes you see behind are hugely important to the one of the most influential materials that we have in chemistry and condensed matter physics that are studied across the board in our time and brought actually 2 Nobel Prizes in the last 30 years. We will meet on Thursday, and it will be, I think, from 4 to 6 p.m. From February 18th to March 25th. We'll talk also about some history of science and how that promoted art forms like the blue period of Picasso that you see on the other side of my head. And hopefully we can even do some experiments at home. Since you're all taking this remotely, we'll try to come up with some chemical reactions we can run ourselves. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Jonathan Grandage.
Hey, everybody. My name is John Grandage, and I have the privilege to be the executive director of the Grove Museum here in Tallahassee, Florida. I'm going to be teaching part 2 of Florida History 101. That will be for 6 weeks on Thursday evenings from 4 to 6. Now, the course started out, I've taught several olli classes, and a lot of people participating in those classes are either new to Florida or maybe they didn't study Florida that much while they were in school. So this is a course that is designed both for people who are very familiar with Florida history, and then also for people who are new to Florida and just want to learn more about the state that you now live in. So we did part 1 in the fall, and that covered up until about the middle of the 19th century. So we will start in the latter part of the 19th century with the era known as Reconstruction, which is vitally important for understanding a lot of the things that you are seeing in the front pages of the newspaper and on the television today, specifically in the context of race relations in American history and the civil rights movement. We'll talk about the lost cause, which of course is related, the real estate boom and bust of the 1920s, World War II, the civil rights movement, and migration and diversity in modern Florida, and finally, questions surrounding environmental change in Florida history. So I hope that you all will join me, and looking very much forward to teaching the part 2 of Florida History 101. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we have Randy Atwood.
Hello, my name is Randy Atwood. My class is called Peek Behind the Curtain. It's on Thursday evenings from 6:15 to 8:15. I'm one of the editors of the Tallahassee Democrat, which means you probably already really like me or already hate me. But my background is in professional theater. And I know a lot of you are theater fans like me and used to go to shows when there were shows to go to, which there will be shows to go to again someday. But do you know what it takes to make them happen? Think of this class as kind of a how do they do that for theater. We'll concentrate on one play, an Agatha Christie murder mystery. We'll read it not as literature, but as the blueprint for a play. I'll take you through how the play goes from the printed page to a live performance in front of an audience. We'll look at how the actors are chosen, how the sets, the costumes, the lighting, the props, and all the other elements get created and worked. I worked in theater for many years, so I have tons of ridiculous stories about when things went wrong, when a giant light bulb broke on stage just before some barefoot actors were coming on, or the time when a nest of baby birds hatched in the theater wall and wandered out onto the stage. Before the last class, I'll send you a link so you can watch a filmed production of the show we've been reading, and we'll be able to really dig our teeth into what our production would be like if we did it and compare it to the reality of what we watched. It will be fun, I promise, so we'll never look at theater the same way again. And if you've taken my musicals class, there's no overlap in that, so I'd be happy to see you all here.
Thank you, Randy. And next we have David Proctor.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm David Proctor. I teach history at Tallahassee Community College. And I have got a course that I love that is thrilling, and I think you'll enjoy it, the Roman Empire. When we get into the class, I'll give you my long story about the fall of Western Civ in college and what's happening and how we're barely keeping it alive, but we'll save that for later. So we're going to keep the crusade going. We're going to take the Roman Empire, start with the origins, run it through the monarchy, the republic to empire and fall, about 476. It'll be a great time. Gosh, loads of civics. Oh my goodness, don't even get me started. This is history's ultimate civics lesson. We're going to have fun with that and maybe even help save our own republic, which we probably need to work on. But we'll focus on Rome for this one. And then we'll do the whole suite, and then we'll talk about the legacy of Rome, how it's influenced Western Civ, how it's influenced the US, the Constitution, the Founding Fathers, everything, and just have a great time with it. So we'll have all the main Roman emperors. There's Marcus Aurelius right there on a Roman coin. I don't have a hawk, but I have these coins. Yep, and there's that's Trajan. Okay, we'll look at Trajan. There he is in all his glory. There's Marcus Aurelius right there, the Stoic, and just have a ball with it. So, and we'll look at how it influenced the United States. Look at that old time Victorian era nickel with the big Roman 5 and the Greek goddess on it, you betcha. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll use a great book. Not one of my usual heavily footnoted tomes, but a real fun one, real good one about Rome. So it's there. So Thursday, 6:15 to 8:15, starting on February 18th. Put on your toga. Come help me save the Republic and Western civilization, and we'll have a great time. I sure hope to see you there. Thanks.
Thank you. And Randy and Jamie, back to you.
Yes, thanks, Harriet. The next instructor that comes from the 30A area is Michael Sturdivant.
Hi, I'm Mike Sturdivant, and I am an instructor with the Johanna Institute in Rosemary Beach. And I'm excited to teach another Ollie class. This time, we'll be venturing into an introduction to 3D printing. So most everybody has heard about 3D printing already, but a lot of folks haven't had a chance to really get their hands on and find out what it's all about and how it might be useful to them. So I'm hoping that this 3-part class will be an introduction for you. And it'll be accessible to folks who have no experience whatsoever with 3D printing. We're actually going to open up our Ohana Institute of Art and have in class. We've got a big space and we're able to social distance, and also we'll have access to the machines that we'll be using to do printing there. But if you're just getting familiar with 3D printing, usually what you see is aerospace applications, medical devices. They're even printing cells and body parts and things like that now. But the more practical applications are really for revolutionizing the way things are prototyped and manufactured. And very soon it's going to be something that people will be using routinely in their homes to replace parts for things that have broken. And when you need something, it won't be sourced from a place across the country. They'll just send you an email with a file so that you can print the part that you need for the thing that broke in your house. So the introduction, we will cover 3 evenings. We'll have an introduction to 3D printing. We will actually do a bit of computer design and we will then actually print objects. So we're going to cover a lot of ground in 3 sessions, and we'll also talk about how you can utilize 3D printing services that are available. So even if you don't intend to purchase a printer and learn all the mechanics that go along with the machines, you may find that you have a use for having something printed, a design modified and sent off to a company that will print it for you and provide it to you. So I'm hoping there's something there for everyone. It's certainly an introductory course and opportunity for you to just get started in 3D printing. And I hope you will join us on those 3 evenings. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next instructor from the 30A area is Brenda Whitwell.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My course is You're Retired. Oh, I should say I'm Brenda Whitwell, and I'm a financial advisor here in Inlet Beach. And my course is You're Retired, Your Money Isn't. So I'm really excited to present this course. It is for folks who are new to investing or to folks who just might need a refresher on investing. We're going to really just focus on, in 3 different sessions, we're going to discuss developing an investing strategy. We'll talk about asset allocation and how that can impact your portfolio. And we will be taking a deep dive into evaluating stocks and how they might fit into your portfolio. If you're interested in learning more about stocks and stock investing, that will be discussed. We will keep the course interactive and be discussing, so a lot of questions are welcome, a lot of discussion is welcome. And the 3rd part of the series, we're going to conclude the course just talking about current market conditions and how things in the news affect the market, things like political changes, economic changes, as well as just cultural issues and how they relate to our investing. So I'm really excited to learn from you and to help you learn more about the markets and investing and how to take care of your money. So I will look forward to seeing you at the course, which starts on March 18th. Thank you.
Next person from the 30A area to talk about his class is Martin Trejo. And Martin offered a course, his course last spring, but it was canceled due to COVID. And we really couldn't put it on Zoom because it's a course about coffee and you just can't drink the coffee over Zoom. So Martin, we're so glad to have you back.
Hey guys, my name is Martin Trejo. I'm the director of coffee for Amavita Coffee Roasters. This is my first time teaching for Ollie PC30A, so I'm really excited to do that. My job as director of coffee is to source, roast, and keep up with quality control for the company. And the integral part to all of that is coffee cupping. So the name of this course is Coffee Cupping, Smell, Slurp, and Learn. It's 2 sessions, Thursday, April 15th and April 22nd at our roaster and cupping lab. For those of you that don't know, coffee cupping is professional coffee tasting. So we're going to go through, we're going to taste 3 or 4 different coffees. We're going to trace them from origin to shipping, processing, getting here to our coffee roaster, roasting them, and then actually packaging them, tasting them. So this is a really neat course for anyone. I think coffee is a big part of everyone's lives. And it's a good chance to be able to see behind the scenes everything that goes into roasting and properly brewing coffee.
Thank you. The next class is a new one for us and a new instructor for us as well, Chad Nelson.
Hey, Chad Nelson, new instructor, as mentioned. Most people in our society have cell phones. If you have a cell phone, you have an app on that for navigation. It'll get you wherever you want to go, and it works great. Easy to find places, don't have to think twice. It works great right up until it doesn't. What if your battery dies? What if you're some of those cool places around the US and other countries where there is no cell phone reception? It will be nice and very useful to have skills on how to read a map and use a compass. That's what we're going to do. And there we go. So we are going to, in our one-day class, it's going to be Saturday, March 6th 1 to 4 p.m. at Topsail Hill State Preserve Park, which is near Sandestin. Don't have to bring your own compass, just show up, we'll do what we want to do. Purposes of the course: 1, we're going to teach you how to read a map, so that bunch of colors and squiggly lines all over, by the time you're done with our class, it'll make sense to you. Going to teach you how to use a compass. If you don't have a compass, we'll have compasses for you, a couple of different basic types. We'll work through how to use those. And at the end, we'll set you loose in the park to run around a little bit and make sure you can apply the skills that we just taught. We're going to start with about an hour and a half in the classroom. We'll go outside as a group, work on some skills, and then we'll have a little course for you to run around and do your thing. And after that, class will be over. So again, a 1-session course, and that will be it.
Okay, so there are several instructors who were unable to join us today. A Tuesday instructor on PC30A, Jason Daniel, will be teaching spring container gardening techniques. Then we have 3 Wednesday instructors who were also unable to be here. Margaret McCauley will be teaching read, write, speak, listen to French. We have Annette Isaacs teaching Germany 2021, understanding the latest developments. And Asa Perelsvag, who will be teaching 2 3-week courses. One's called Armchair Traveler Visits St. Petersburg, and the other is Putin's Russia, the less you know, the better you sleep. And then there's a Thursday class instructor, Taylor Giorgio, who was also unable to be here, and her course is Romantic Violin Sonatas. Their video recordings are available on our olli website at olli.fsu.edu, as well as this showcase recording. The spring semester offers wonderful online classes on a variety of topics and for varied interest. I encourage you to join other members to stay connected and to continue learning. Registration for membership, classes, clubs, and activities begins on Thursday, January 28th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time and 9 a.m. Central Time. Most classes start the week of February the 15th. So please reach out to family and friends who may be interested and encourage them to join olli as well. I want to especially thank our instructors today and everyone who has participated in helping to make this virtual showcase possible. We all look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you so much for joining us.